Hi guys! Surprise, surprise, it's Krista again. So for this video, you might want to grab a snack or a cup of tea or whatever your preferred beverage is, because this one is a long one. And look at me go, getting my third video up in 1 month. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, this drawing tricked me. I thought it would be a fairly quick and easy sketch because it's just a repeating pattern, right? But no, that would be too easy. This sketch ended up taking me 1 hour and 45 minutes altogether. I worked on it over 3 days. Just for comparison, my other drawings have been between 20 to 45 minutes. So yeah, this is a longish one. What should we talk about? How about words? They're pretty cool if you think about it. It's neat how we can use them to express ourselves to each other with them. Sometimes it's difficult though, because you might not know what to say, or if you're like me, you might trip over them as you talk, or you can't quite figure out which word it is exactly that you're looking for. But in most cases they can be really fun, especially archaic words. My favorite is alas, as in, alas, all the chocolate is gone. Don't worry guys, if you're out of chocolate, I'm sure you can go buy more. Every now and again you'll see someone use alas, but they don't quite know what it means. I think they're using it in place of also. And in case you were unaware, according to the definition that Google so kindly provided, it means an expression of grief, pity, or concern. It says that it's archaic/humorous. Woe is another good one, like, oh, woe is me, whatever shall I do without my chocolate? What are some others? There's hither and thither, which are fun to say. Thee and thine. What are some of your favorite old school words? Anyway, I took a world languages class about 3 years ago now, which I liked overall, but the first day wasn't the best. So, right before class on the first day, me and this other woman were there a few minutes early. So she was all nice and chatty with me, and we exchanged emails in case one of us missed class. I thought we were off to a great start. Here I was, making a friend. It's going great. Well, the teacher, she had us get into groups, and I don't know about you, but working in groups isn't my favorite thing. No one seems to ever pull their own weight, and then you're left with the burden if you want a good grade. Anyway, we're supposed to be discussing some handout the teacher gave us to read, and then share our answer with the class. So all in all, it's not too bad of a group thing, but still. My group includes the lady I talked to before class and one other person, but they both totally gloss over the topic we're supposed to be talking about. I have no idea what we've decided upon. Then the other two are talking about who knows what. I can't even remember. And then, guess what? The teacher calls on me to tell the whole class what conclusion we've reached. I know many people are no fans of public speaking, and I am no exception. If I'm prepared, then everything goes marginally better with slightly less stress, and it's great. Well, as great as it can be, you know. But I'm not prepared. I have no idea what answer we reached. I have no idea what to say. In a panic, with the whole class looking expectantly at me, I turned to the woman I had talked to with an expression of horror on my face. I thought it was my, I don't know what we said, help me face, but apparently I was wrong. She simply smiled and nodded at me. No, that's not what I need at all. Tell me what we said. I don't know what we said. I was in too much of a panic to think of how to articulate my need for assistance, so I tried the other woman in our group, hoping she can understand my mute cry for help. Nope, no such luck. She just nodded and smiled at me too. What's going on? It felt like they were trying to give me encouragement to talk, like, yes, it's okay. Go ahead and speak to all these nice people. I hope you guys don't have such a hard time in awkward social situations. Looking back, it would have been great if I could have just calmly said to the teacher, I'm sorry, I don't know. Could you come back to us? Or even better, if I could have actually, asked my partners, what did we decide upon again? Of course, at the time my brain was not working at all, so there was no way anything like that would have popped into my head. I mean, obviously nothing popped into my head, otherwise I wouldn't be here sharing this story with you guys. I can't even remember how I got out of the moment. Perhaps the teacher simply gave up on me as a hopeless case and moved on. In any case, whatever it was, that was a rough first day. The good part of the class was learning about the history of languages and how they've changed over the centuries. English used to be nothing like it is today. To me, it resembled something like German. It had the cases, the nominative, accusative, dative, and genitive, as well as the feminine, masculine, and neuter for nouns. Well, the English like that is the Old English, like Beowulf, what we can't recognize as English at all. While we still can't understand Middle English either, an example of literature from that period is Chaucer. And it's kind of fun looking at an example and seeing familiar words, but they're not modern enough to really make sense of. And then modern English is English that we can still understand, that we speak today, and Shakespeare is an example of that. Do you know that he died just over 400 years ago? And to think that's still modern. It was really cool to learn that Shakespeare's plays actually rhymed back in the day. I remember reading Romeo and Juliet in high school, and from what I recall, not much rhymed. For example, your and our used to sound alike. I don't remember if it was your and or yower and hour, or something in between, but by golly, they used to sound the same. I think it's cool how languages change over time, and we can even see this change during our own lifetimes. The new words we're getting from our ability to talk to each other instantaneously and having to shorten our words so we don't have to write out so much. I mean, you could call it lazy, but maybe we're just being more efficient. I think that sounds more pleasant. For instance, applications have become apps, phrases have been shortened into acronyms like YOLO. We get these things called memes. I remember when I first encountered the word meme while browsing the internet, I was like, how the heck am I supposed to pronounce this? Mimi? It's also funny hearing people complain about the younger generation ruining English. And I mean, okay, I was one of those complainers for a time. In some aspects. I mean, YOLO of all things. But this language class I took, well, it opened my eyes. Languages are fluid and ever-changing, and that's just how they do. Well, I'm trying to be okay with it, and I am for the most part. However, there is one example of where I'm less than pleased on how the meaning of some words have changed, but I'm trying to accept it. I mean, there's not much I can do about it in any case. But anyway, I'm sure you all have heard of the terms introverted and extroverted. I remember when I was a kid, those terms just meant how you mentally recharged. Like, an introverted person could love being with people, but they still needed some time by themselves in order to decompress and relax. An extroverted person might not actually be a social butterfly, but they would still gain energy by being around people. Take me, for example. In that context, I classify myself as an introvert. I like being around people that I know, but afterwards I feel mentally exhausted, and it's only by having some time to myself that I feel recharged. But now, introverted means socially awkward and reclusive, and extroverted means outgoing and a people person. Alright, I probably should talk about my drawing now. The reason I decided to draw scales is because, well, I actually dislike drawing them. It can get so boring and tedious because it's the same thing over and over, and after a while I start to get sloppy, and then the scales don't look very good. So I figured that since I'm drawing on a smaller piece of paper, it won't be quite so bad. And I can use my grid to draw nice, evenly sized scales. I mean, I think they turned out pretty well. And repeating patterns can actually look pretty neat. Have you ever heard about art conservation? Well, when I grow up, that's what I want to do. I'm working on that right now, actually, which is another reason why I'm worried that I can't post all too often, because I'm taking organic chemistry. That's my last prerequisite for grad school. And, well, it's a tough class if you didn't know. Anyway, art conservators work on preserving items of cultural interest for future generations. So some of the things they do is repair works of art and clean works of art. The chemistry part comes into play when you're making a solvent that will take the grime off the piece without damaging the paint underneath. It's really fun watching conservators clean paintings and then seeing how vibrant and colorful those paintings actually are, which is how the artist actually intended them to be. There was a really cool video about conservators cleaning up the Sistine Chapel. A ton of work to do, though. Can you imagine trying to clean a ceiling? Gosh, can you imagine painting a ceiling? In one of my many art history classes that I took a few years back, I learned that Michelangelo had to learn how to paint specifically just to paint the Sistine Chapel. Before that, he only knew how to sculpt. My teacher said that he was coerced into painting the chapel by the Pope at that time, so he had to learn to paint quick to get it done by the deadline that was given to him. So Michelangelo painted a big giant fresco for the Sistine Chapel. Do you know how frescoes are done? Well, you put wet plaster on the wall or ceiling, and then you paint onto it while it's still wet. The paint absorbs into the plaster, and then when it dries, the painting becomes a part of the wall. Well, of course you couldn't do the whole ceiling all at once before it dried, so Michelangelo had to paint the Sistine Chapel in sections. That's just crazy to me. Well, thanks for stopping by. Bye, guys.